Good morning, good evening, everyone. My name is Raja Ranganathan. I am based in San Jose, California. I'm the president of NITT USA Recal chapter. First things first, I am privileged, honored in extending my warm welcome to uh, Director Madam and the respected professors, President of Recal, Mani Mahalingam, officers, bearers of the Recal, and students and alumni across the globe for this wonderful, exciting event, Alumni Cast. So this is an Alumni Cast 2021 kickoff. Can you meet everyone? Meet everyone. Alumni Cast is a virtual event launched during the pandemic with the sole objective to connect our alumnus across the globe on their achievements, contribution, and the impact they are giving to the society. Along with, we also need to keep the institute in consideration what developments and initiatives that the institute is doing. So this is a joint effort between RECAL and the Alumni Institute Interaction Cell headed by Dr. Subayan. In 2020, we had several eminent speakers such as J. Balamurugan and Dr. Anantaraman, then faculties like Dr. Ram Kalyan Ayagari and Dr. Umapati participated and shared their thoughts. And students across, to faculties, to alumni across the globe, they participated. I think everybody benefited. Basically, I think the speakers came and they gave very insightful thoughts, how the students can shape their professional career. Now today we are excited to restart the alumni cast for the 2021 with speakers such as Dr. Ravi, Senna, Reddy, along with Mahalingam, president of RECAL, in a fireside chat setup with a very interesting topic, India Infrastructure Incorporated. Without much delay, I would like to welcome Director Ma'am to share a few words and launch this session or this initiative for the 2021 officially. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Raja, and good evening, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Special welcome to Ravi Sannareddy of Sri City. Thank you so much for sparing time to chat with us. And my congratulations to the new RECAL team with Mali as the chairperson of RECAL. This is the first chat of 2021, and I'm sure many such eminent alumni like Ravi will come and talk to us. So just a few updates from the Institute. Pandemic, actually today it's exactly 1 year, 21st March is 2020 is when we kind of finished the faculty recruitment. We recruited 69 new faculty and 68 joined during the pandemic, which is like 1/4 of the total faculty strength. And they're doing extremely well, contributing in multiple ways to the institute. As you know, from 25th, the lockdown started in India. So today is actually, and 22nd was, the Janta curfew. So it all started 1 year back, but I'm very glad to let you know that the Institute did very well, sailed through the pandemic quite successfully. And we could achieve certain milestones, during the pandemic. I must thank my team, also the alumni who helped us sail through smoothly. We have caught up with the semester, although we lost time in between, but the first year started very late. Only in December we could start the first year BTech classes. But now the first semester exams are going on, and by July, we will be starting our next year at the same time. So we have not lagged at all in the academic schedule, and I'm very glad to let you know that 2020 was better in terms of publications, because we had VPN access to the library to everybody from home, wherever they were. We could give that access, and all our exams and everything went online. We gained our rank. We climbed by one step. We became 9th in engineering in India, and 24th overall. So we are part of many Government of India schemes. National Supercomputing Mission, the computer racks are already here. A 650 TF supercomputer is being installed. And also we are part of the Prime Minister's Research Fellowship. So we got 2 scholarships already last year. And NRDC, we have an Innovation Facilitation Center. And many such projects came in. Our research publications were more than 2019. We graduated more PhDs this year. Last year it was 98. This year in convocation we could graduate 173 PhDs. So we are doing well with all your support. And today we planted our first Miyawaki forest of the campus. 58 cents. We are planning to plant around 5,000 saplings. 1,000 we planted in half an hour. We had very good participation. So we have around 400 students in campus. We brought all the PhD scholars back to campus. Some MTech and UG
Hello.
students are also in campus. So this is just an update. Thank you so much for your support. Before I hand over the session to the speaker, just want to compliment Ravi Senna Reddy. I had a chance of visiting Sri City, and I was kind of, I had no words to express my, gratefulness, because it's such an ambitious project. I mean, you will realize only when you go there how much time and effort and risk they have taken and invested, how much risk they have taken to come up with such an idea, wonderful idea. I could visit some of the factories there, and hats off to Ravi Senna Reddy for coming up with something like this. It's a role model for many others to follow. When somebody did that in his hometown, in his home village, to bring up the area, bringing in international firms and giving job to 50,000 plus people, developing the whole area, and it's wonderful, and providing to the nation building as such. Congratulations, and I hope you will continue to do many more things to the nation. Thank you so much. Thank you once again, Mali and your team, and looking forward to more interaction with Dr. Subayan and his team, working closely with Rikal. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Director. I think a lot of good things happened during the pandemic, right from our rankings to the PMR of positioning and NRDC initiative, and also the recent one, which yesterday, including the forest Miyawaki, plantation. Congratulations. Now I take privilege to hand over. We'll start this, the fireside chat, which will be moderated by Mali, our President of RECAL. Mali, over to you. Mali, you're on mute. Mali, you're on mute.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Raja. I would like by thanking the Director, Minnie Thomas, for her kind words and wishes to RECAL. Congratulations to you and everybody at REC, NIT, for having such a wonderful year during the pandemic. So heartening to know that you had such great success even during the pandemic year, and you kept the flag flying very, very high. We're very proud of that. And the Miyawaki is also a great step forward in the current environment, literally. And to Strangely, I don't know what the coincidence was. Raja picked this date because one of those perfect dates of equinox, but the day and night, I think actually same number of hours, Raja. So I think it's a perfect day to have this. So good morning to everybody in America. I'm sure it's a crisp spring morning there. Good evening to everyone in India. It's a warm, hot day in Chennai here, despite the AC. Okay, so I think we're going to have an interesting hour and a half. I hope it's going to be interesting, and I'm certain it'll be inspiring because Ravi's story cannot be anything but inspiring. The speaker we have today is unique in many aspects. In the days when most engineers, including civil engineers, were drawn to the software industry to write code and maybe find a job on-site in the US or wherever, Ravi Senna Reddy, after having successfully built a clutch of IT companies, decided to come to his home soil and come back to civil engineering to build a real monument, in my opinion. It makes us really proud. Quite unique in that sense. The other unique thing is today's buzzwords of Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Skill India, are all things of the last 2, 3, 5 years. But I think Ravi Senna Reddy had the foresight to make a world-class manufacturing hub in South India close to his hometown. These two factors make him not only a wonderful entrepreneur and businessman, but a man who had the larger good at heart. We are really, really proud to host Ravi Senna Reddy today. Presenting to you, Ravindra Senna Reddy, MD Sri City and founder Sri City. Welcome, Ravi. Welcome, Ravi.
Thank you.
Okay. To kick off, we're going to play a short video for all of us to capture the impact and of what actually Sri City is about, and what it showcases, and what a wonderful job has been done there. But before that, I would like to make a small confession. When Raja reached out to me to kickstart Alumni Cast 2021, he said we should get some good profile people. The first name that came to my mind was Ravi Senna Reddy, partly because he's a dear friend and batchmate, and many of our batchmates are here watching this also. The nice person that Ravi is, he can't say no to any of his friends, and all of us will vouch for that. He said yes to me. But one condition he laid was, let it not be too much of personal glory. So I've tried hard not to do that. But if facts speak for themselves, I can't avoid it, Ravi, I'm sorry. There could be some facts which do showcase achievements of Sri City and you. So please play the video. We can start. Welcome to Alumni Cast 2021.
Well, I think volume is missing.
Volume is missing. Vani, volume is missing. Vani, volume is missing.
Yes,
Kalpana?
sir. Yes, sir.
Satyavedu Mandal in Andhra Pradesh was one of the most backward regions. Dry, barren lands where crops failed, often due to lack of rain.
ఏదైనా రిస్క్ అయినా సరే చచ్చిపోయి గవర్నమెంట్ హాస్పిటల్కి వెళ్ళే వాళ్ళం 2 hours జరుగుతూ ఉంటుంది.
పూరిలు రోడ్స్ సరిగా ఉండేవి కాదు.
చెన్నైలో నేను ఒక 8 years వచ్చి సూలూరుపేట నుంచి డైలీ ట్రావెల్ చేసి చాలా కష్టం కూడా ఉండేది.
కనీసం వెళ్ళేదానికి దారి కూడా లేకుండా ఉండేది.
During then, Mr. Ravindra Senna Reddy, an entrepreneur and a son of the soil, returned to India from the US with a vision to transform his native region into a modern industrial economy. With the support of the central government and the state government of Andhra Pradesh, the dream of Sri City was enlivened. Today, Sri City is India's most preferred business destination, equipped with world-class infrastructure that offers holistic solutions for multiple investment options and lifestyle. Sri City attracted several big multinationals like Alstom, Isuzu, Colgate-Palmolive, Unicharm, Torre, Cobelco, Kellogg's, Foxconn, besides PepsiCo and Mondelez, to name a few. Sri City is home to nearly 190 companies from 28 countries, providing employment to over 50,000 people. Sri City is developing into a vibrant social community. Once a barren landscape is now a thriving industrial hub. Sri City today stands as a synonym of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's Make in India and Skill India campaigns.
Why did we select Sri City? Well, a favorable business environment, infrastructure, access to great
of the new recruits.
If I say that Sri City is a jewel in India, I will say he's a gem of an Indian. He has given up everything in the country overseas where he was, and to come back to India and to create something like this, for me, it's an eye-opener.
Visionary founder Mr. Senna Reddy has contributed significantly to the socio-economic development of the region.
Now the face of that Satyayodu constituency has completely changed.
Before I was not having any communication skills. Now I am able to speak with anyone and everyone anywhere.
I feel proud to be a role model for other working women in my village.
చాలా బాగా ఉంది శ్రీ సిటీ వచ్చిన తర్వాత.
Thank you Sri City for getting the best brands to our native.
Thank you Sri City.
Mr. Senna Reddy has been successfully leading his team to accomplish his mission to make Sri City a first of its kind business city in India as the destination for the best companies of the world. Sri City, India's most preferred business destination.
Thanks, Arvind. And dumbstruck. Taking words from the minister's mouth. Jewel in the crown of REC for sure, Ravi, you are. Thanks so much. And to add to what she said, gem of a human being you are too. Thank you. You're really, really proud to see that and feel prouder. I've been there many times, but every time I see, I continue to get amazed. And it looks better and better. I think I went there first when there were maybe around 10, 20 factories. Now there are close to 190, 200 factories, if I'm right, Ravi. Look at the brands, look at the number of countries represented, look at the infrastructure. Simply transformational is the word that comes to my mind. Transforming infrastructure, roads, water, everything. Transforming manufacturing as a concept in a zone. Transforming the region. Transforming livelihoods and transforming lives. It's truly, truly remarkable. Very, very proud of you. I'm really amazed and hats off to you. All of us as Rectians, NITN, really hats off to you, Ravi. Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm going to start, before we get into the Sri City bit of what Ravi did, I want to trace briefly his journey before Sri City. Okay. Ravi, if I understand right, you grew up somewhere in the livelihood, and you were in a school, local school there, and a Telugu medium school there, and then got into REC. Two questions. How was it being in that school area where you are today, and why did you choose REC? That's a question I have.
Okay. First, I want to thank all of you for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank our director, Dr. Minnie Thomas ji, for her kind words, and Raja and Molly for selecting me as the first speaker to start this series. It puts a lot of burden on me to be, anything we start, it has to be successful. So I hope this series will become successful. And I also want to thank many of our batchmates and our alumni that though it is very early in the West Coast or in the US and somewhat late in India, a lot of you taking time to participate in this event. Thank you very much. And I see some professors also logged in, so thank you. Molly, to answer your question, my think that REC was incidental, I would say, because I belong to the last batch of, or first batch, we can say, whatever, however, like we are the first batch of 4-year course. The first batch of Andhra Pradesh introduced admission test in Andhra Pradesh, common admission test. Since I came from a what you call rural background in Telugu medium, so I didn't do that well in the entrance test. but my academic scores were very high. Like I had maths 200 out of 200. Only 4 colleges were taking admissions still based on our intermediate or +2 marks. REC Tirchi was one of them. So hence the other 2 are away in the North India, or other 3. So I didn't have much choice but to choose only. I would say it is by fortune or whatever it is. The only choice I had at that time was REC Tirchi, and I'm really happy and proud that I went college there and gave great opportunity, and everything from that point onwards was a success.
Muted earlier, it was coming. He's muted. Ravi, now that you got into REC and spent 4 years there, and all of us remember each other and great friends even now, what was your experience and learnings in REC, both academically and not otherwise, Ravi? Briefly, you can tell us what it was. Yeah. You're muted, Ravi. Ravi, you're muted.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. See, I would say, since you all said about Sri City, I think first thing I say is that think big syndrome came by attending REC. I would say the reason for that is start from the campus, the type of people, and especially in our batch, most of the people from every state, including Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, all the state rankers, me coming from a very, very backward, small background, I think REC gave me the platform to start thinking big or whatever it is, look into how to upscale. For example, until I joined REC Tirchi, I didn't even know that the IITs existed. That is the kind of background, rural background I was. I didn't even had an opportunity to take IIT exams. So REC gave that, that demographic, this thing where people from every state was there, and including some foreign students, and the campus itself. And we had a very wonderful principal at that time, Dr. P.S. Manisundaram, with whom I had several meetings after retirement. He visited the Sri City also. I think by interacting with those kind of people, I think that gives a think big syndrome. That's why REC, and also since I was one of the minority students, that is, we're only about 18 students from Andhra Pradesh, and so somehow we wanted to do Telugu movies. So I had to get the social skills. I got attached to PHL Telugu community. Then we started organizing Telugu movies for our Telugu students and all those things. I think that probably provided me that leadership skill that needed to do something like this, what I'm doing Sri City today. So I think all these, let us say, blocks, all those learnings, that Tirchi is instrumental for that, or REC Tirchi.
You mentioned Professor Mani Sundaram. Okay, of course, he's a big influence to all of us. Any other influences? You did civil engineering. How was it? Any other influences, big influences, icons, idols you found in REC, Ravi? Quickly, yeah.
Okay, civil engineering. Okay, of course, we had Professor Shanmugam, who was the head of the department, and he, since I was one of the top ranker in the engineering, that is, he's the one who pushed me to go apply abroad and seek admission. He was from University of Illinois, so he was always telling people like you should go abroad and get a master's degree and come back, kind of thing. So I mean, certainly there was some influence from the professors. We had all the good, as you know, civil engineering was one of the top departments there. So it was subtle. Of course, Manisundaram Garu was a professor, and I never had an interaction when he was principal. But we used to hear all the stories from those who used to meet him and all, how influential he is and how big he is to dream. So I think there is somewhere I think we want to replicate those things in life. When we hear those things, those are all the myths we hear in those days. Now trying to replicate those.
Legendary, yeah. Ravi, just quickly, one last question on REC before we move on to next part of your journey is, not many people know that Ravi Senna already spent a year, I think, teaching or being part of the faculty in REC. Is that right, Ravi?
Yes. That was also.
How was that experience, briefly, quickly?
Yeah. So that is also because I didn't, again, since having come from, this, what you call Telugu background, I thought I will never be able to pass through the TOEFL and GRE. So I didn't attempt, like when our batchmates were doing GRE, TOEFL, I never attempted that. So only towards the final year, I got the confidence that I can somehow clear those exams and be whatever the encouragement professors gave. and some of my other colleagues, friends, like you all gave me the confidence that I can do. So then to continue that journey, I stayed back there for 1 year because I missed the boat when we were all applying our batch. So I have to wait for next batch. So I thought better to be in the same environment. In fact, I continued in my same room in Topaz. They made me continue there. Professor Krishnan was the warden there, and I was doing my teaching assistantship in mechanical engineering department. So I was assistant warden there. So I continued in the same room. So that gave me the opportunity to prepare for GRE and TOEFL after graduating. And then I went to US in '86. Most of our people, as you all know, went in '85. I had to wait for that 1 year. And that I would say gave me a little bit more experience into looking into academics, but anyway, that pushed me into the PhD, but I have to come back to
That's
master's.
fascinating, Ravi. I don't think many of us know that story. It's really fascinating that you were part of the faculty for a year in REC before going there. Interesting. Now the great realization of the great American dream is what we used to call it in our times those days. So you took off to the US, did your master's in Utah, and then went on to do what you did. A brief sketch of what you did there before we get on to the Sri City story after that, Ravi. Just a brief one on what you did there and how you got into IT there and stuff like that, just quickly.
Sure. See, first I went to Utah to do water resources. As the video also said, I come from a region where it is very arid, no irrigation and all those things. So I come from a farming background. I'm a first generation, whatever education wise and business wise. So I went with the ideology that I want to do something water resources, come back and help our area, region or state with agriculture / water resources kind of thing. That's how I applied for water resources and went to Utah State, one of the top universities those days for water resources. And after doing masters, then the professor there, Dr. Douglas James, who was my major professor, was telling that I should also continue in a much more reputed university. Utah was good for water resources, but it's not in the top 10 or top 40 for that matter. So with this, I had admission to Johns Hopkins when I applied for structural engineering. So I now changed that to do a PhD in environmental sciences. And from Utah, I went to Johns Hopkins as a PhD candidate for doing environmental engineering. Then came to, after first year of completing the coursework, came to India, got married. Then I realized that it was becoming difficult to maintain the family with the fellowship I had and with time-wise. So with the first resume, I got a job in a consulting company that was doing environmental consultancy for Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. So it was difficult to, on one hand, we have the dream of, like you said, American dream of green card, paycheck, and whatever the materialistic life. On the other hand, if I continue PhD, okay, getting PhD, but uncertainty, we don't know what happens after that, whether I will get a job or not. So hence I took the materialistic path, took the job, thinking that I'll come back and complete PhD. But unfortunately, for various reasons, I couldn't come back. One, professional, I started doing well. And you also asked, how did I get into IT? That is also, again, coincidence. A lot of things in my life happened by just coincidence, that it is not planned or anything. One of my classmates in Utah, he was actually senior, but I was helping him in the master's thesis. He became the executive director of Satyam Computers in 1994. He was in US, he was in West Coast. He was asked to come back and head that organization in 92, 93. So then he was coming to US more to propagate Satyam Computer services in those days. So that is when I thought, why can't I get into the IT business? Started because I have a big support from India for recruitment, and they were suffering in US to kind of manage their employees. So I started Megasoft in 1994. So Megasoft was taking care of Satyam Computer services, initial setup in US, including, in fact, since a lot of our REC folks work in Cognizant. Cognizant's first, it used to be, the previous name is Dun & Bradstreet Satyam Software. It was a joint venture between Satyam and Dun & Bradstreet. The first office was started in Megasoft office. First 40 people of Dun & Bradstreet, what is now the Cognizant, their visas were in Megasoft. So a lot of Satyam people used to come on our visas because we are a US organization. That is how I got into, again, as I said, it is an incidental journey.
Thanks, Ravi. And incidentally, Raja was in Cognizant till very recently.
Oh,
okay. Now comes the big question for me. When was this Shah Rukh Khan Swadesh movement or Rajinikanth Shivaji movement, wanting to come back to India and give back to the country? What happened and why?
Okay, that is, I think it is not just the Swadeshi movement, all those things. That is also personal, I would say. It is a double, there are multiple reasons for these things. So first, the impetus was that my family, I would say. The reason is when we got the third, I have 3 daughters. When the third daughter was born in year 2000, my wife, she's the only child, I'm the only son. So because of the girls, we thought it is by my first child by then was coming into 7th grade, 11 years. So we are coming to the stage in US. Those of you from US, you know that we have only 3 exit ramps to come out of US. First one is soon after graduation. Second one is just before you get, the kids. Third one is before they enter into college kind of thing or high school kind of thing. After that, you miss the ramp. It will be difficult to come back. So that is what the myth in those days used to be, because I'm talking in late 90s and early 2000 kind of thing. So when my third daughter was born, we decided just before September 11th in June, we moved to India in June 2001. And before that, since you asked about this Swadeshi, whatever it is, there was a little bit of that, Venkaiah Naidu, who is the current Vice President of India, he comes from my region. He's a close family friend, and my wife and Venkaiah Naidu's daughter are classmates and childhood friends. When he visited in US as a was the Minister for Rural Development in Government of India. He came for a World Bank meeting. Then he visited me. I used to be in Washington, DC area, visited. And by then I had a, whatever custom-made house and all those things. He made only one statement. Ravi, if you are doing all these things in US, who will see it? Your friends and family, not many people can enjoy these kind of things. Why don't you come and do something in India? Whatever, do something in India kind of thing. This has happened in late 98, 99 time frame. And my third daughter, all these things came together. That is how I moved back to India. It is more that, and also the reason I chose Chennai is because of my children. IT-wise, the language-wise, I should have been Hyderabad. The weather and professional-wise, maybe Bangalore. But I chose Chennai because I have girls. I wanted to bring them in very conservative atmosphere. And where else better than Chennai, Mylapore, the cultural capital of India. And also, it is close to my hometown. I come, as you know, Sulurpeta, Sri City are very close by. So it is just, again, a lot of times people, after I took the decision, people are surprised why I'm Chennai, not Hyderabad. But I think a lot of the people after that, they used to comment saying that I've done the right thing. And maybe that Chennai residence status got me the opportunity as a Sri City. I mean, it was destiny.
Awesome.
Unfortunately, these are all nothing. And I believe in destiny. I think a lot of things, as I mentioned, happened by fluke or just incidental coincidences.
Thanks, Ravi. So you decided to pack bags and travel back to India. And was the idea called Sri City in its whatever form already there in your head when you took that flight, or it happened after you came back here? What was it, Ravi?
No, it is much later. No, it was when I came back. We had a Megasoft offshore center here. It was a fluke. I mean, whatever, it was just because family driven decision. So since I had an office here, there was something I used to, family we put here, because if I miss that opportunity, my kids will refuse to come back. So we have taken an spur of the moment, moved here, and my business was still in the US. So soon after that, September 11th happened. Then what happened is family is in India, but most of my customers are in the US. So it used to be a big struggle to kind of, these are the time, a lot of IT companies were not going through tough time because a lot of our customers were filing for bankruptcies and all those things. So to maintain the revenues and all, I used to spend more time in US. That's when we started thinking, it's not fun to keep family in India and do business in US. Let us start doing something in India. India, if you look back in 2001, 2, 3 time frame, 2, 3 industries were doing well. When you want to start something new, you get what are the good things there. One is infrastructure, then media, and then healthcare. These are the industries that were doing extremely well. So we started the initial this thing to media. Me and my partner started a TV channel called TV9, which is Telugu based, then Kannada and other things, and that was going well. But again, the struggle there was, I'm based in Chennai, that headquarters was in Hyderabad. So again, travel, family, children, this thing. So why can't we do something where we are in this thing? Luckily, around the same time, this SEZ Act came, 2006, and we are grappling with all these things. It's just, again, by talking to many people, actually by then we are in touch with government. One of the things that one business person whom I used to admire indicated at the time was saying, why don't you think of something that is not in India kind of thing? What is not in India? And it was kind of told by our customers also was that in IT, a lot of our US customers, for IT, they used to come to India, for manufacturing, they used to go to China. When you ask them, they used to tell, I wish India had the same infrastructure, same facilities like China, so that we would have put in manufacturing here. Or they used to wish that China had English speaking speakers so that they could have put their IT also there. In other words, they didn't want to travel two countries. So kind of all these things together came as a starting point for, because it's to give this scope for a project like Sri City. That is, there is a need in India to develop infrastructure, like world-class infrastructure, so that the myth or the hypothesis is there. If you develop good infrastructure, world-class infrastructure, world-class companies will come and keep it a home-based kind of thing. And that I also want to be close to home, so that is why the whole Sri City project started. And as the video said, that this is the most backward area. And whenever I travel from Chennai to my hometown, Sulurpeta, we used to see a lot of industries on the Tamil Nadu side of the state. And once you enter Andhra Pradesh, nothing, no industry at all. Even today, I'm happy and proud to say that in Andhra Pradesh, state of Andhra Pradesh, new state of Andhra Pradesh, minus Telangana or whatever it is, the old state had Hyderabad. Sri City is the one where all the majority of the industries are. It was, Andhra Pradesh was an agrarian state. It was more agrarian, and the most we had aqua products and these kind of things. Industry was not one of the big economy boosters there. So that kind of, I try to fill that gap. That is, there is a need for developing world-class infrastructure. This is where my civil engineering background, or whatever I talked about, REC, the academic skills, and also the leadership skills that we talked about. See, this is basically when I started this project. I hope I'm not taking too much time, Molly. Can I explain?
No, keep going. I don't want to disturb your flow. We'll keep it. Don't worry. We'll keep going.
It required it kind of analyze it. It required a little bit of international skills, because you want to get international customers, you want to do fundraising, you need a lot of money to do this thing, and a little bit of national connection, because it has to get a lot of approvals. You have to, both government of India, state government, a lot of issues, in terms of getting approvals. That is one of the, India was just graduating from license Raj and liberalization and all those things. Still, you have to get a lot of approvals. Then local connection. That is, to get the land and all, you need to have the local connection, how to keep it in the harmony kind of thing. So we are debating on these things, and then the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Dr. Ravi Reddy, was supportive, because financially, I'm not, in fact, in the initial set, when I gave the application, the state government officers rejected it, saying that these kind of projects have to be done by large business houses like Tata's or Mahindras. If you see the initial set of these special economic zones, or the large ones, I'm talking multi-product, GMRs, GBKs, those are large, deep-pocketed entities only who are getting into it. So the state government initially rejected it. In fact, it took 6 months for me to go back and justify that we have the financial means to get this project. So then the government also recognized, to make it successful, you need to have these three connections, and I'm one of the few who are blessed to have that connection. In fact, I'm the only developer of that size where we are doing in my hometown. Not even Reliance,
awesome,
not
Ravi.
even large houses had that opportunity.
That's awesome, Ravi. See, now it kind of answers my next question almost. Why the location? You kind of answered my next question, why you chose this location. Now, you can take us through briefly on how it was executed, the civil engineering challenges, to give us a perspective of what you learned at REC, and anything there it helped you was applied there. quickly you can tell us that so that we'll get the flavor of the execution, the infrastructure, the roads, the water. Quickly tell us, because many engineers here would be interested in hearing that and how it was built bottoms up. Quickly you can tell us, we can move on after that.
Sure. Yeah. So the location, it is always, as you said, it is just, I want to do only, in fact, our investors wanted in Hyderabad and Visakhapatnam. They were pushing for those locations. But I was particular that this was started where I think again REC has, I would say, footprint, because we replicate REC formula. What REC, why is successful, why we have so many successful people? Best. REC, by default, we used to get top rankers. Of course, our batch is blessed, I would say, a lot of this thing. You get the best students, they get out of with good this thing, they go to other good universities, they build the brand. Same thing in Sri City, we did replicate that. We get the best consultants. So Jurong was the master planner. They were done a lot of these kind of developments in Asia, especially in China and Malaysia and Thailand. So we went with the best of the breed in each of the area, which consultants we started using the best consultants possible worldwide. And in the beginning itself, we said that we have to develop world-class infrastructure to bring the world-class investments. So I started focusing more on, in those days, just the Japanese were, when we did the study, a lot of Japanese companies wanted to move to India for production, because by then the China, Japan issues were coming up, and also I focused more on Japanese. That's why even today in Sri City, we have the largest number of companies, about 25 are from Japan. In fact, Japan is enclave is the second largest in India. After Manesar, we have the second largest number of companies in one location in Sri City. So we were also lucky at that time, because this is when initially started as a special economic zone to export. But Lehman Brothers, we did groundbreaking in 2008, August we did. In October, November timeframe, Lehman Brothers crisis happened. So the world economies went down again. So now there was no need for new factories to export. World economies, especially those who are importing from Asia, the Europe and the US went into negative GDP growth. So we have to now change our business model to meet the domestic demand. This is where I think again we were swift in changing the plan from special economic zone to our initial company was Sri City Satyavadu Reserve Infra-City Special Economic Zone. Then we added something called DTA, that is Domestic Tariff Zone. SEZ has become, now we removed some of that area from SEZ and started saying, now we are going to get industries that are coming into India just to meet the Indian demand. But that at that time, Indian GDP was still going at 68% growth. So there were a lot of factories from other countries were coming to fill the gap here, the demand, whether it is Cadbury chocolates or Kellogg cereals or Colgate toothpaste and toothbrushes. Like that, a lot of these industries, whether it is Suzuki cars. So we try to develop that infrastructure to attract those domestic. Then, as I said, the Prime Minister have come up with this Make in India and Digital India, these kind of schemes. Latest scheme is electronic manufacturing cluster. That is, India still imports a lot of electronic goods. Whether it is even today, as you all know, not many cell phones, chargers, or all these components are made overseas. We only assemble. Sri City, we have Foxconn makes 30% of the smartphones made in India, but they're all assembly. Very few components get into the thing. Now the PLA scheme has come. So we are trying to fill the gap, basically. That is what is impetus for our growth.
Awesome. And this was funded mostly by internal accruals and private equity, Ravi? What was it funded?
Private, yes, correct. Internal accruals and private. We took private equity, but then at the time of Lehman Brothers, when we got one of the largest fund, OGF from US, has given us $25 million in those days. But when the Lehman Brothers crisis happened, then the appetite for these kind of investments was not there. So then we have to depend on internal accruals. And in fact, recently we bought out their stake also because they want to take it fully from India.
Great to hear. Ravi, obviously you've built, I've been there many times, and every time the infrastructure's got better. That's itself a great story. And along with that, the question of your customer acquisition, was it based on certain industries, certain geographies? What was it generally? And how did you figure that out? How do you have 190 people now? And what was your story there? and how do the infrastructure will create help there, basically? Yeah.
Good and relevant question. So our tagline from the beginning, as we recognized that we have to use, though we are in Andhra Pradesh, we have to use Chennai. So we used to tell our customers, we are in Chennai, but not in Tamil Nadu. We are in AP, but not in Hyderabad. Used to be our tagline. The reason I said bring that Chennai is initially when we decided the industries that will be focused or whatever based in Sri City, we focused on industries that climate is there in Chennai, mostly automotive. Chennai is very strong in automotive engineering and also the renewable energy. And of course, pharma is not there, but we have taken formulations. And then we started filling in what is there, some of the other new industries that were not there in India at all are coming at that point, that is toy making. We have the first toy making company in India that came from China. So we started focusing what is the ecosystem that is in and around Chennai, because we want to use the Chennai platform for marketing ourselves, because though we are in Andhra Pradesh, we say that we're in Chennai because the customers use Chennai airport, Chennai port, and Chennai hotels. So in a way, we complement the Tamil Nadu side of things. Why we don't say Tamil Nadu is at that time, Tamil Nadu had a little bit of negative forces for industry. Power shortages were there in Tamil Nadu, water shortage was there, and the government transparency issues were there. So we kind of gave the best platforms for the industry to come. We had given the best of Chennai, and what are the problems that were there in Tamil Nadu or positives in Andhra Pradesh, because Andhra Pradesh is a power surplus state and government transparency was better. So, and also people, one of the things, see, there are 3-4 ingredients you need to make Sri City kind of area successful. First, you need to have land, then you need to have all this industrial infrastructure where there is power, water, all these things. Then you also need to have people, you need to have enough catchment area for getting employees. And Andhra being an agrarian state, not much industries, and these people used to migrate to other places to work. So now we started developing skill development centers, training centers, so that when we did the demographic study, within 50-kilometer radius, we had about 10 lakh people eligible for employment. We are projected to have only 1 lakh employment in Sri City. With that area, whatever is our projections is 1 lakh. So we thought at least 10% of them we are able to attract to work in these things, because anyway, see, this was a very, very backward area. So not even a degree college was there until we started there. In fact, the same day on 8/8/2008, first degree college in Satyavadi constituency started. So we have to depend on talent. The CXO level will be in Tamil Nadu or Chennai will be our what you call hunting ground. Whereas the low-level workers, the factory workers, the skilled and semi-skilled will come from the local area. That's how we were able to ramp up. See, we successfully managed what IT sector has done in India. That is, bring the offshore work here, so that the scalability, there are so many people, we can train and deploy them. Same thing we are doing that is where my IT background also kind of helped. Rather than quote unquote on-site body shopping, we started doing offshore development. That's exactly what we are doing now in
truly awesome, right? Manufacturing. Truly awesome. On this concept of work, learn, live, in terms of social infrastructure, work, earn, live, learn and live. It's a wonderful concept, Ravi. Can you expound a little on the social infrastructure a bit before we move on, basically?
Sure. See, this is something that Jurong has coined in, because they have done these industrial estates in China and other places with work, live, learn, play concept, which is nothing but in the modern times, if you say, since that was the industrial word about 10 years back, today that translates to Atmanirbharata or self-reliance. Because when you build a new city, it has to be self-reliant. So the people initially they say, okay, give us good ambience or atmosphere for industry. That means industrial infrastructure, water, power, say. But within months or years of they start, now tell me where my children will go to, where we live. Then if you start addressing where to live also, then they say where my children will go to school, where my parents can go to hospital, where my spouses can go for shopping. So the whole ecosystem you have to develop. That is where what we call social infrastructure. And also one of the things that I used in the beginning to attract industry to Andhra Pradesh or Sri City was, by then in Tamil Nadu side, especially Sri Perumbudur, one of the largest conglomerate area where manufacturing industry was, the land prices were skyrocketing, and affordability for people to buy a house was becoming very, very difficult in the city. So since we lived in US, where an entry-level worker also can buy a house, As when I went to my first job, within 1 year, I was able to buy the house. In India, it is impossible to buy. So we told the industry, Sri City is a place where not only you have the industry, but your people can live there. They can live in their own houses, because we wanted to keep whatever we are talking now, low cost housing, affordable housing. In fact, we even registered a company called Nano Homes, so that we want to give, like we gave the industry affordable land with good facilities, wanted to give for residences also there. In that journey, we are a little behind because of because of the markets and the economy and all those things. But this whole COVID thing has put now into fast mode. The COVID has made it necessity to do this sooner than later. The reason is during COVID time, the GST in India has removed state boundaries. The whole India has become one. Otherwise, previously we used to have checkpoints at checkposts at the state borders and all. GST removed all of those. But this COVID has come and put back not only state boundaries, but district boundaries, sometimes village boundaries. So those of you who dealt with these issues probably know that people couldn't move from one village to another village. Or why that far? Apartments in Chennai, people couldn't go out, or they don't even bring their maids into the inside. The associations have made some decisions or whatever, saying that no in and out kind of thing. So we also face that problem. In fact, we have to move a lot of workers from Chennai to nearby areas, including Sri City. In fact, we got approval for initially for the workers to stay in factories itself, first few days. So that's why this 20th, exactly 1 year back, I was going through these sleepless nights. Last month around 20th, I moved from Chennai to Sri City area where my father lives. So I was there, and first 1 week, because there are 50,000 workers, out of which about 20,000 are women. And in one factory, Foxconn alone had 15,000 girls. They came from almost every district of Andhra Pradesh. So we have to take a decision to cannot hold them there, moving to their villages. So hence that whole crisis that is making now reality. Now we started building a lot of dormitories and all those things. So if this kind of situation happens after a year or two, we are better equipped to face
Thanks,
it.
Yeah. Super. Ravi, I think your management story I heard from you is for another session, because everyone here, how Sri City managed COVID is the worth of a Harvard Business School case study, I can tell you. So that's a large conversation. I won't go there, but you mentioned this briefly, and some fantastic stuff Ravi and team did there. Now, a couple of quick questions before you go to the macro picture, Ravi, is something people like to know from you, is that given that fact that you're so much in the population locally, giving back to the population, social impact there, you can tell us briefly what you've done from CCT, and individually if you want to mention that too, because that's something, because you have taken people's land there, you've gone there, land acquisition would have been there. How have you managed that bit, Ravi?
Yeah, sure. See, one of the reasons I started doing this is in IT. Whenever I go to my village, when I was in the US or moving back, so when I go to my village and meet my relatives or my friends who studied with me high school, so when they approach for jobs, I couldn't help them in the IT at all, because IT, as you all know, tend to be more urban-centric jobs. You need to have good communication skills. You need to have minimum engineering degree or 4-year degree course to get H1 to go abroad. So the selection criteria used to be communication and engineering skills, these kind of things. So the only thing that can address that question is this: manufacturing is the only one. So that is one of the impetus for me to do Sri City, and we focus primarily on manufacturing industry there. To date, we don't have an IT company, and with that, I was able to help a lot of people who went to school with me, college with me, or rather engineering, not engineering. I'm talking pre-engineering. So a lot of those people work there. Almost every villager that I know who wanted a job nearby where I grew up, I was able to give them the jobs. And the community is also happy, because when I acquired the land, we said we'll give one job to each house. Now I am happy to say that now there are a lot of dual wage earners in most of the villages. Wife and husband work in the factories, or one may be security guard, the other one, even if they didn't have education, we gave them training and placed them on all these easy to train and put them jobs. The skill development center for construction worker to security to plumbing, all these kind of jobs. So in fact, we have recently done a socioeconomic study where I think it has given a statistics on how these families have become debt free, and they're able to send their children to better schools now. They are all staying in their own houses, and most of them are not walk to work. Some of them, but at least they live in their own houses and work. Come to Sri City. There is a good transport system. Most of them are organized by industries, pickup buses or shuttle services. So slowly the community, what was once the most backward area, is now becoming. In fact, when we entered on the negative side, or whatever on the lighter side, people say that in the past, their children from their villages never used to get married, thinking that they're all in a backward, very awkward area kind of thing, with no transport or no connectivity to the world. Today, the girls and boys are in high demand. They say that if you marry my girl, not only this one, but we will also get you a job here, kind of situation. And on the later side, men are telling now there are no women at home to serve them food. They have to. The older people are. In fact, my wife complains saying that finding domestic help is becoming a big challenge because most of them are going to the work. So that is how the transformation. And Sri City is dubbed as a Sri City now. This is also one of the peculiarity of the Sri City is about mostly when you say industrial estate, people think it is a men-centric or whatever, the industry men-centric or pollution kind of. In Sri City, we have more women employees. Those some say it, since I have 3 girls or whatever it is, the name itself, Sri, Lakshmi, the prosperity, growth, development. So it's just it's not by design. It just happened. Foxconn came, Flextronics came, and the Kellogg's. They said we want only women employees. The reason, one, they are very, very good in productivity, and more importantly, they are not union oriented. Men are union oriented, and also electronic industry. They tell the Indian and Philippines women have the very slender fingers for assembly, so they want only women to assemble all these cell phones. And Foxconn, the Kellogg's and all these guys want only women, because so that their experience is where women workforce are there, no unions, no disturbances. And also, of course, it is all, there are a lot of studies, they say women paycheck gives more stability to the family. So,
awesome insights, Ravi. Thanks on that.
Really, we don't have union.
Very heartening to hear that. I think all of us and the women in this call also, I must be very, very proud of what you're doing there. All of us are too. One last question on Sri City experience. Your highest point, your most satisfying moment, briefly. And I want a couple of questions on macro and then some fun questions very quickly. Yeah.
Okay. See, I mean, there are a lot of days that I go with frustration, with a lot of, I have to deal. See, I have 3 daughters, but I joke saying that I have 2,000 son-in-laws. Every farmer who gave land behaves like a son-in-law. Every officer, every politician, and every customer, I have to treat them like son-in-laws in the Indian context, kind of. So it is a little, everything is moving target. In IT we used to say our resources go home at 5 and come back at 8. Unfortunately for me, it is a 24-hour thing, because everything it is a people definition or whatever is oriented business. For example, while I'm having this call, there may be some disturbance out there in some factory, something happens. There are a lot of sleepless nights I have to spend. But the satisfaction is when you go back to Sri City, when I'm driving, when I meet people, they say, thanks to Sri City, we have the job, we have this thing. The amount of, the satisfaction. This is the area where there was not even a degree college. Now today it is home to, as some of you know, home to 2 major universities. One is Indian Institute of Information Technology. Incidentally, again, I have a Trichy connection, REC connection. The director of IIIT is again our alumni, Professor Kannebaram, who was a student.
Maybe he's on the call.
Maybe he's also on the call, I don't know.
Yeah.
So there is again REC Trichy connection wherever we go. That's where I think our director also visited when there was a workshop for all the directors. Sri City was doing a workshop for all the directors of all other IIITs that came in the country. And the other major universities, Kriya University. We have Chenmaya School, first CBSE syllabus school there, Accord School. Now, recently we launched a driving range golf course. So see the transformation that happened. So it gives the satisfaction in terms of, and at times I tell people also that say, a lot of times I have to sacrifice my time with family, a lot of time. In fact, just not to this thing, I'm taking this call also from a friend's house because there was a party planned here or whatever it is. I committed to come here. Then I said, okay, I have this call. So I'm in one of the bedroom I'm using to attend this call. Like that, this is, basically it is a very, you lose a lot of your regular life, but it gives the satisfaction. That's why sometimes I say our life becomes like karpuram, you have to burn and give light, but in that process you burn out. So but I'm ready for it. And I told, just before starting the project also, I said to my family that you will miss me. You have to write me off, because there will be a lot of, when doing such a complicated project, a lot of mud also will fall on you. There was a time SEZs in the country was seen, thanks to urban centric SEZs, they were seen as land grabbing, land mafia. It was not a good, if you 10 years back you walked into a party saying that you are developing SEZ, it was a negative connotation in a way, because thanks to urban centric projects.
Super, Ravi. Couple of quick questions, well, some fun questions before that. One question on macro, which we'll have a brief answer and go to the fun questions. We're getting close to 9:40 already. India as a manufacturing hub post-COVID, competition for Vietnam, 1 or 2 minute answer on that, and we'll move to some fun questions. And we have a lot of questions to answer after that, Ravi. Yeah.
Sorry, sir, what is the question? Sorry?
India as a manufacturing hub, especially post-COVID, China manufacturing. Quick answer on that and some fun questions.
I said India was doing well thanks to all this Atmanirbhar Bharata, this Make in India, Digital India, all these programs that I think both central and state government recognize. The only way to move forward is what China has done, create jobs for rural youth. Otherwise, there will be a lot of unrest. There will be a lot of unemployed youth in the country, and they can get into negative. That is where this Naxalism and all was started in some of the areas where there were no jobs. So both the state and central governments started to impetus on developing these special economic zones and creating manufacturing clusters to provide the jobs. But COVID has helped that momentum to go faster, because this China plus strategy, a lot of countries now want to diversify their supply chain, not just to rely on China. India is getting into their radar screen, because in the last 10 years, India also has done better in developing the infrastructure. I think since that is one of the topic, the infrastructure is a perennial subject in India. When every conference we go, it started from Chola Kingdom days. I was told, one of the poet said in the Chola Kingdom, saying that the only way to make the state prosper is raise the bund, infrastructure, raise the bund of those. Basically, our logic was, if you raise the bund of for the field, it will hold more water. If more water, more crop will come. More crop means more prosperity, kind of thing. So infrastructure, like they say in real estate, location. So the manufacturing requires infrastructure. You need ports, you need roads, you need railways, you need power. All those things will all put together is manufacturing. So India was doing well in last 10 years to address that gap. And today there is no power shortage in India as a country. Maybe small pockets are there. So we're ready to grab the opportunity to that China plus. Now I see in Sri City also a lot of companies, they wanted to build factories in 6 months and diversify few people cancel their orders to China and want to take only from India, especially US and Japanese. So it is the right timing that way.
So thanks, Ravi. I think hopefully there are more Sri cities coming up, and hopefully you'll do more also. Thanks for that.
We need 100 Sri cities in India to develop, and that's where, in fact, the DMIC, that there are industrial corridors. Those of you who are interested in subject, please Google DMIC, that is Delhi Mumbai Industrial Corridor. Then there is something called Vizag Chennai Industrial Corridor. Then Bangalore Chennai Industrial Corridor. These are all foreign funded. DMIC is funded from Japan. JICA is funding that initiative. So they wanted to develop nodes, cities, and then coastal zones. So they want to replicate whatever China has done successfully in India now.
Okay, couple of quick, in a few 2 minutes of fun questions, Ravi. Okay. Be prepared for some embarrassing questions.
Okay. I don't. Okay, fine. Okay.
Okay. Your favorite subject at REC?
Structural engineering.
A subject you hated most?
Chemistry. My lowest mark today in the entire REC is chemistry. I was dreading whether I will pass that subject or not. If you ask me what was the most dreadful moment of my REC days, the second semester chemistry, whether I will pass or not. So that was my worst.
Your favorite professor? Your favorite professor?
Dr. Shanmugam.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you the question of the professor you didn't like, don't worry. The naughtiest thing you
No,
did in IRC?
I was nice to everybody, and all professors also nice. So I don't, you know. In
Were
fact,
you a naughty guy? Were you a naughty guy or a pavam guy in campus?
I was a very papam guy. That is.
Oh, I believe you. Okay. Okay.
So I was serious. That is why, you know, I used to joke, you know, if you become you are known as a good student, good boy, this thing in life, you cannot, I keep telling people that in Sri City syndrome, also tell people, once you get that good boy syndrome, you cannot smoke, you cannot drink, you cannot have a girlfriend, all those things, because you want to maintain that status.
So since you mentioned girlfriend, any crush on campus, Ravi?
Sorry?
Any crush on campus?
We are, there is no co-ed, no, where is the crush, where is the scope for this thing? We are all busy with studies. So.
Oh, I didn't know that, Ravi. Okay. Okay. Now a few quick questions of your, what's your favorite temple, Ravi?
Tirupati.
How often do you go there? How often do you go there?
I'm blessed, as those of you who don't know the geography well, I'm equidistant. Sri City is equidistant between Tirupati and Chennai, and I'm in middle. In fact, Sri City name we derived from the fact that we are middle of 4 Sri cities. On east we have Sri Harikota, which you all know, where we launched the rockets. On north we have Sri Kalahasti, one of the top temple for Lord Shiva. On west we have Sripati, Tirupati is Tamil, translated to Sanskrit, Telugu is Sripati. Tirupati is that one. On south we have Sri Perambudur. We are middle. So my favorite temple is that. In fact, I was there day before yesterday. Just to confess, I was
excellent.
Yeah,
we have all of us.
Every 2 months,
many of us have been have had the benevolence, experienced the benevolence of Ravi Reddy at Tirupati. One last question on the light bit is, how do you relax, Ravi, and who are your friends? Who's your best friend? And in Chennai, how do you relax? Yeah.
Chennai, we have something called Madras Mafia, which is with all our REC batchmates. Since see, the relaxed portion comes only with whom you studied or something. With you cannot enjoy with your customers and all those things. Where we can be, let us say, to ourselves is with our high school and college friends. So hence, I'm fortunate that in Chennai we have large enough, as you all know, you are one of them, about 10 of us here, which we. And
many of them are on this call also, Ravi. Many of them on this call.
And also, I keep traveling. See, till recently, I used to go to US. I mean, my daughter lives in San Francisco. Now, just for the record, I'm a grandfather. I have 2 grandsons. They're both in whatever. My first daughter in San Francisco. There. So whenever I go there with my US classmates, and we keep getting together. So there is. I don't think I missed the fun part of it, but it is becoming rare now because I'm stuck most of the time in India because of some high-profile visit to Sri City or something.
Thanks, Ravi. Before you go to the questions, I just want to say one thing.
One other way I keep myself relaxed is watching movies. So before COVID, my wife also, if there is some common entertainment in the family, it is movies. That my wife, my daughter.
You might produce a movie sometime, Ravi.
That was my childhood wish or college wish was I want to become a producer or a politician. My wife clearly said if I become a politician, she will divorce me. So that is gone. So one of these days,
I know the answer. Can you tell everybody who the heroine would have been, Ravi?
I mean, it all depends on when I'm producing, whoever is the what favorite heroines we had may not be relevant today. So.
Okay. Before I hand over to Raja, I just some of the comments I received is I'm adding that up into some of the sentiment about you, Ravi. Very few people have the golden touch, but and a golden heart. Ravi has a golden touch and the golden heart. That's a comment we've been getting, Ravi. Congratulations to you. Very proud of you to hear that. And I want to say that before the questions start, because many people after the questions might not be around. But it's been great. Thanks. Anyway, I'll say a formal thanks at the end of this. Over to you, Raja, for the questions.
Quick. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Mali, for the great moderation, and thanks, Ravi. About 26 people have asked questions from different batches, right from 70s to all the way to 2018. That has already hit us. I don't think we'll be many things. I think you covered. I think during the discussion, we are not going to put all the questions, but I've combined a couple of questions together in one powerful question. The rest of the questions we can always post it on the YouTube. So we talked a lot about China, right? With all the different DMCI to Bangalore, Chennai, all this and Visakhapatnam, Chennai, all this industrial corridors coming, right? Now the question is, while all these things are great, do you think that this the infrastructure sector strategies will shift from the urbanization, will shift to tier 2 and tier 3 cities, or it will be only in the tier 1 cities itself? That is question number one. Extension, do we replace China in the next 5 to 10 years from a contract manufacturing perspective?
Okay. First question is easy to answer. I think it is affirmative. That is, see, the IT companies have gone urban-centric. All the IT SEZs are all in urban. All the major cities cover each city. I used to compare these to our Boeing seat configuration. That is, economy seats are like your IT SEZs. Single sector SEZs, that is like engineering, or one of the single specific zone is like your business class seats. And Sri City is a multi-product special economic zone. They are more like your first class seats, will be very few. The moment you get into these industrial clusters for manufacturing, they have to be, by definition, type 2, type 3 or more backward areas, because to get the threshold of 2,500 acres was the minimum threshold when we started, but people couldn't get that, so they reduced it to 1,500 acres. You cannot get in tier 1 cities these areas to get a good manufacturing zone. That's where these industrial corridors have come to connect. There needs to be connectivity between a backward area where land is available, where people are there, with the nearby ports or your consumption markets, cities or railheads, all those things. So hence, the answer to your question is yes, the manufacturing is going to move tier 2, tier 3. In fact, I will say rural areas. Like that is how in US, most of the manufacturing is in Midwest or somewhere we don't, hear of those cities also, the names. So slowly, I think in India, for example, in Bidi, a place called Bidi, where there are economic incentives. So in Himachal, there are a lot of, when you see where made in, where, by the way, if you see a chocolate or a toothbrush, it's a made in Sri City, AP, Chittoor district kind of thing. So slowly, I think the trend is to get into these backward areas where land is available, cheap people are available, but we have to create this social infrastructure for the workers to stay there, and these connectivity roads and all those things. That is where a lot of funding is happening. Once we do that, I think we can compete with China. I don't think we can replace China for at least next 10 to 15 years. I have seen their infrastructure. I've seen, we model after something called Suzhou Industrial Park next to Shanghai. The same master planner, the person who worked on that project was our project manager. Jurong has done that work. So we have a long way to go. We are at least 20 years behind China in many aspects. Probably with the current focus on manufacturing, we may catch up. But India also, too soon we got into IT success story. So a lot of people, call it, all the bright minds have gone to IT side only. Now we need to strengthen our core branches like civil engineering, mechanical, everything. So that we have to create that strength. So I think it will take time.
Okay, so Ravi, extending the question, right? I think in the last year when we did the alumni cast, many students, especially since you are also a civil engineering student, the civil engineers in, at least in our current college, I think they always, I think this pandemic has impacted them. Hey, what is going to be the future of the construction industry, right? Will civil engineers get an opportunity, a career opportunity? What advice you wanted to give it to them? Because today also this question came in the chat window, and also they post it on the Google Docs. What do you think? What is the perspective of from a, we're not talking about a construction like a Sri City, but general civil construction industry?
I'm a strong proponent of civil engineering, this thing to an extent. I sent my daughter also to civil engineering. She graduated from Stanford with construction and sustainable design degree. And anybody comes to me for advice, I'll say civil engineering. And I'm very optimistic, and because country needs infrastructure, country needs housing, all federal schemes. There are so many schemes that are coming where they say, every citizen of India should have a house. Somebody has to build. Who? Again, civil engineers has to do that job. And how do we? If you say that India is trying to replicate China or compete with China, infrastructure has to be developed. Infrastructure, civil engineering engineers has to play the role. Civil engineers and architects, I think, will have positive. I think we are blinded by the opportunities the IT has. Everybody migrated from all civil engineers, mechanical, everybody got into IT. But now there also it is tapering off. So hence, I think civil engineering will have a better. Can civil engineer salaries be matched to IT? Probably not. But will there be jobs? There are plenty. In fact, in Sri City today, I was able to give jobs only to those who are coming for civil engineering. For IT jobs, nothing. If they come with MCA, I tell people also, please, with engineering background, don't even ask me for a job, because they're all factories. And at most engineering, I can accommodate few mechanical and civil. But EC and all, in our zone, there is not jobs. There may be other IT, other jobs. So there is a lot of this thing, especially diploma holders. I think country needs more diploma holders, ITIs. That is where the skill development, Skill India, all those initiatives are. I feel that India, I think last 20 years, we focused on what we call H1B based education. Just go for engineering degree, get a degree, then you can qualify for H1, get IT job, go to US kind of thing. I think things are changing now. There will be more demand. The only people who are getting jobs are with IT and Polytechnic, not engineers anymore in certain areas.
Good. That was a great response, Ravi. So I think we are at the top of the hour, folks. I think
last question, Raja, last question.
Yeah.
I wanted Ravi's message, his thoughts on NIT, about brand NIT, what alumni can do to brand NIT, and since the director is here, your message to NIT as industry, opportunities for NIT students in Sri City and an entrepreneurship. One final, and we'll thank you after that, Raja. I just wanted that from him final. Quickly, Ravi. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. See, my first interaction with the global alumni, or whatever the whole REC alumni, was when we had the global alumni meet in Chennai last year, just before pandemic. That is when I kind of became active or actually participated. I also was
incidentally, Ravi was the lead sponsor for GAM last year. Sri City was. Yeah.
Thank you. So that is when I couldn't attend previous events. Maybe I attended one other event before, when there was a memorial service for Professor Manisundaram, when there was an event. So attending this event, from gathering and meeting some friends, we have wonderful success stories from REC. I feel that our brand is not built or not as vibrant as IIT brand. And I think a lot of IIT brand in US, if I see, since I used to be active in this high organization and all those things, and I used to interact with some of them, I think they have much more, many more activities that is brand building from the alumni than REC. Sorry, I may be ignorant, but that is what I personally feel. So time that we compete with IIT, and we are no inferior to them in a way, because we have many success stories from our diaspora. And I think probably the current focus, I think when our director visited Sri City also, she was talking about how to integrate the success people from all over the world in developing the connectivity to the institution, and also helping the institution to build their brand. So I think certainly there is scope to improve or to work on it, and I will do my bit to help that part. And I'm also happy in telling that, knowingly, unknowingly, indirectly, a lot of REC folks are becoming part of Sri City now. There are at least 5-6 people working in various industries, heading. In fact, one of our batchmate heads our Colgate-Palmolive industry, Manivaran. So I think there is many more success stories. I don't know, many people may not know about it. I think it's time that we broadcast those success stories.
Thanks, Ravi. I would like to sign off by saying, reminds me, again, repeating this, the James movie, man with the golden gun, the man with the golden touch, and the man with the golden heart. Thank you, Ravi. Wonderful evening. Hope all of you enjoyed it. Thank you.
I also take this opportunity.
Thanks, Director, for spending time on this. Thanks to all the faculty. Ravi, you want to say something?
Yeah. I also take this opportunity to invite you, all of you, to visit Sri City. It is an experience, though it's more, not because to see, it is one place where you can see how the academia, industry, and even fun activities can come together in one place. We have a nice resort. You can stay there, and if you're a golfer, you can play golf. And we have a IIIT. If you want to counsel some of the students, you can come and counsel those students. So please visit this.
Yeah, fantastic resort they have.
Yeah, thanks, Ravi. I think before we sign off, folks, I think we have a very interesting lineup in 2021. Please stay tuned, and please ensure and tell your batchmates and your alumni networks, faculties, just to be to join this and support us in big numbers. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.